Hi everyone, welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Clark Wolf, and this is our daily show bringing you the latest in movie news and insight as to what it all means. Joining me, as always, is AMC Movie News Editor-in-Chief John Campea. John, good morning.
Good morning, Clark. Greetings and salutations, everybody. Hey, listen, before I get into anything else, I want to let you guys know Comic-Con is coming. And we are tentatively planning, we'll give you more details a little later, but we are tentatively planning an AMC Movie Talk meet and greet. Come down and hang out with the whole cast and crew of AMC Movie Talk. We're going to be on the Thursday night of Comic-Con at the Fox Sports Bar, which is at the bottom floor of the Hilton Hotel right beside the convention center at Comic-Con. So once again, we're tentatively aiming for Thursday night, probably around 9 p.m. at the Fox Sports Bar and Grill on the bottom level of that Hilton right beside the convention center. We'll give you more details as we kind of shore up our plans, but that's what we're looking for right now. Please plan to come down and meet and hang out with us for a bit and have a couple of drinks. It'll be awesome.
Yay, can't wait. Also joining us this morning is AMC Production Manager Dennis Sen. Dennis, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm happy that it's Friday and it's a holiday weekend.
Yay, Woo! Memorial Day weekend. Movie time. Okay, we already know that Joss Whedon and Marvel intend to use the characters Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch in the upcoming Avengers 2. So it should come as no surprise that X-Men director Bryan Singer has just tweeted the following. Before he was an Avenger, Singer writes, he was just a really fast kid. Thrilled to say Evan Peters is joining X-Men Days of Future Past as Quicksilver. John, what do you think about the American Horror Story actor joining X-Men Days of Future Past as Quicksilver?
I'm sure Evan Peters is a fine young man. I don't watch American Horror Story myself, so I don't have a lot of exposure to it. The big question really here is, hey, look, Quicksilver's going to be an X-Men as well, and Joss Whedon's going to have Quicksilver in Avengers 2, and the mess begins. Look, here's the big thing for me. First of all, I've been reading online some people saying, oh, X-Men just put Quicksilver in to spite Avengers and stuff like that. Okay, look, that's stupid. Remember, X-Men is already in production. They're already shooting the movie. They didn't just decide last night over a couple of beers, hey, let's put in Quicksilver. That's not how movie making works, all right? They've known about this for ages. They've had this in the works for a long time. And I would be shocked, absolutely shocked, if Kevin Feige and the guys over at Marvel didn't already know that X-Men Days of Future Past was planning on using Quicksilver when they announced that they were going to use Quicksilver in Avengers 2 as well. This, to me, is a mess. This is a mess. I'm not going to put it any other way. Because here's the deal. Look, everybody knows that I'm totally okay with changing things up about characters. I am. I change the hair color, change the costume. Hell, even change their gender once in a while if it's not important. All I've always said is keep the key essential elements, those defining elements that make those characters who they are, keep those, and then everything else. That's why you could have Michael Clark Duncan playing Kingpin, because he embodied the key essential elements to who Kingpin was, and being a white dude wasn't one of those key elements. But I'm sorry, being mutants is a key essential element to who Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are. And you can't have them as mutants in the Avengers world. Being Magneto's children are key essential elements. I mean, that part's debatable, but to me, those are key essential elements to who Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are, and you can't use that in Avengers. Avengers, Marvel, Kevin Feige, dude, I worship at your altar, you know this, but what the hell are you thinking? Why have Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver in there when you can't have them be mutants? You can't have them be Magneto's kids. You've got Luke Cage sitting on a shelf somewhere. You've got Black Panther sitting on a shelf. You got Doctor Strange sitting on a shelf. You've got a pantheon of Marvel characters at your disposal. Why are you using Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch when you can't even have them as mutants? It makes absolutely zero sense to me unless you just want to do it in spite of Fox and the fact that they have the rights as well. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying I'm just trying to grasp at straws here why on earth you would go for these characters when you have so many others that are dying to be made into films and used in films like this, like a Luke Cage, like a Black Panther, like a Doctor Strange, all these other guys. Makes no sense to me. It makes much more sense for Bryan Singer and Fox to use characters like this in an X-Men universe because that's where they belong. So me personally, this is going to get messy. It's going to get stupid. It's already stupid. I really hope Marvel wises up and just pulls those characters out of the films and uses somebody else that really deserves to be used. That's just my thoughts. Dennis, you've listened to me rant and holler on this. Like, what do you think about this whole situation?
Yeah, I do think it's kind of a mess. Evan Peters, I saw him on American Horror Story. He's pretty good. I just imagined Quicksilver to be a little bit older, but then again, a lot of the characters, whenever they do comic book movies, I always imagine them to be older,
right?
And they always cast younger, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing it's probably Joss Whedon. You know how Joss Whedon works, like. If his mind goes with a certain storyline and he wants to do something, he's like, oh, we have Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. I want to do a story with them. And so I think maybe he's the one who's pushing it. And maybe Kevin Feige's probably like, well, you did such a great job with the last one. We'll just go with what you're saying. Now,
it was funny because we went down and we were talking to Whedon, and Whedon, in his original script for Avengers, this goes along with what you're saying. In the original script of the Avengers, Whedon said this. He goes, my first draft of Avengers was very waspy. So, of course, he had Wasp in it, and he didn't want Black Widow in it. But then Kevin Feige and Marvel came and said, no, put in Black Widow, take out Wasp. And so that's what he did. I hope, if you're right, Dennis, and this is kind of just Whedon just having his playground and writing whatever is in his mind. That's the way you should create. I hope at some point Kevin Feige and the rest of Marvel go, yeah, maybe this isn't a great idea, and pull them before they get too into pre-production on this. At least that's what I hope.
The new Superman film Man of Steel opens in AMC theaters everywhere on June 14th. In a recent interview, Superman himself, Henry Cavill, weighed in on the idea of a Superman-Batman movie, saying this: I think it would be really interesting with the age-old Batman-Superman conflict, Cavill told SFX, because they are two different sides of the same coin and their methods are entirely different. And I think it would actually make for an interesting story as to why, first of all, they were going head-to-head and how. I think that would make a great story. John, do you think it would be wise to have a Superman-Batman film prior to or instead of a Justice League film?
You know, I'm going to have Dennis pull this picture up. I've met with Henry Cavill a couple of times, and he's always impressed me, not just the way he carries himself, but he understands Superman. And hearing quotes like this, he totally gets Superman and Batman. He gets them, and he understands the relationship with them. I have been, as a fanboy, crying tears of great sorrow into my pillow at night, wishing we could have a Batman versus Superman movie. I remember there was one scene in I Am Legend as Will Smith is walking through the abandoned city. There's a big movie poster behind him, Superman versus Batman. I'm like, oh, tell me that means Warner Brothers is planning on making this, please. And of course they never did. I love the idea of doing we talked in the show the other day that, look, if you're going to do a Justice League, it has to be carried on the shoulders of Superman and Batman, and one of them has to have an active and successful franchise going at the time as you go into it. I think it would be brilliant to do a Superman-Batman film, preferably a Superman versus Batman film, them working out, like they have these different philosophical things. It draws them into a conflict with one another, and by the end they're best of friends and singing Kumbaya, whatever. But I think that would be brilliant to do that first, and then go into a Justice League movie. Maybe even use a Superman versus Batman film as a way to maybe introduce a Flash, who we've never seen on big screen. Maybe introduce the concept of Wonder Woman, which we've never seen on the big screen. You could do a lot of things with Superman versus Batman. I think it would be great. I don't think it's what they're going to do, but I think it would be brilliant. Dennis, what do you think about that?
I think as a movie, it would be really, really cool, but I think as a marketing strategy, I don't think it works because the draw of a Justice League, one of the main draws, is to see Batman and Superman interact. And so once you've kind of given that away with the Batman versus Superman movie, then the draw for Justice League is less important. So I think marketing wise, you're not going to see it.
Interesting point of view. All right, listen, it's time of the show for buy or sell. Here's how this is going to work. In front of her, Clark's got a bunch of other items from the world of movie news. She's going to go through them, and Dennis and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Clark, what do we got?
It's being reported that MGM is moving forward with a film version of the 2009 book, Things I've Learned from Women Who've Dumped Me. The book, which is a collection of essays from some of the top comedy minds, is described like this. Whether it be major life lessons like the heart is a choking hazard, simple truths like a dog is no reason to stay together, or profound realizations like persistence is for suckers, Things I've Learned from Women Who've Dumped Me is about the salient something men take away from failed relationships. John, buy or sell making Things I've Learned from Women Who've Dumped Me?
I buy this. This is a great idea. I've never read the book, and it's how do you change a collection of essays into a narrative? I don't know. As somebody who only once in my life, but it was a hard one, I've only once in my life legitimately been dumped. And for somebody with a fragile ego like mine, that is not a great experience. It was horrible, and you take lessons away from that. This to me sounds, as a man, this sounds awesome. I cannot wait for this. I love to see the direction they're going with it. So for me, it's a buy. Dennis?
I sell it. I don't like these books. These he's not into you. Whatever 10 ways to do this or that. I think they're all a bunch of garbage shortcuts, and any of the movies that they make off of them, I don't know. They just don't interest me at all.
Not all of us have had the privilege of just having women throw themselves at us our whole lives, Dennis, okay? Leave some room for the rest of us. All right.
When I read this, it did kind of sound like the dude version of he's just not that into you.
A little bit, yeah.
Well, we'll see, though. I think it sounds great, too. I'd definitely go see it. Amanda Seyfried has reportedly joined the cast of the new film While We Were Young. Seyfried will join Ben Stiller, Naomi Watts, and Adam Driver for the dramatic comedy. While We Were Young follows a documentary filmmaker, Stiller, and his wife, Watts, whose life is changed when the pair befriend a much younger couple. John, buy or sell the sounds of While We Were Young?
I'm going to buy this strictly on the strength of Ben Stiller. Look, I'm not actually a huge fan of Amanda Seyfried, and I actually thought she was the weakest part of Les Mis. But this sounds interesting, and I love Ben Stiller's mind. Certainly not everything he touches turns to gold, absolutely not, but he always is able to seem to pull something really unique out of situations like this and make them funny. So for me, it's a buy. Dennis?
I buy it. I do like Amanda Seyfried. I also like Ben Stiller a lot. I think with Amanda Seyfried in Les Mis, I think her character was more weak than her performance. I just think they didn't do a lot with it. So, but besides that, I still buy this.
All right.
A short time ago, while talking about the aforementioned Scarlet Witch character, Marvel mentioned that Saoirse Ronan was their model for the Scarlet Witch in the upcoming Avengers sequel. While recently asked if she would be interested in the character, Ronan responded by saying the following: "I've heard about it, and yes, I would. Yeah, of course I would. I love Joss, and I love those films, and I love his handle on them and how he portrayed these kinds of superheroes. I think it's very different from what anyone else has done, so yeah, I'd love to be in it." John, buy or sell Ronan as Scarlet Witch?
I'm actually going to sell it. Oddly enough, look, I love Ronan actually as an actress, and I always say, hey, it's never a mistake to recruit talent. But this is just a situation for me. Like, I love Leonardo DiCaprio as an actor too, but I don't want him playing Flash. I think he's amazing, but I just don't see it as a fit. And in this, I just don't see it as a fit. Now, look, this happens all the time. People say, oh, such and such actor said they'd like to play that role. That means that person's going to play that role. No. Like, of course she wants to play that role. The Avengers and the Marvel Universe took Robert Downey Jr., who was basically serving French fries at your local Carl's Jr. at that time because nobody would touch him with a 10-foot pole, turned him back into a major superstar. They took Chris Hemsworth, who nobody knew who he was, turned him into a major international superstar.
Thank you, Avengers.
Yeah, thank you, Avengers. And they've done that to a lot. So, of course, she wants to be in it, and I wouldn't doubt that they are looking at her to be in it. And look, I won't complain if she's in it. I'm just saying I don't see it as a fit, so for me it's a sell. Dennis?
Well, I'm also a big fan of Saoirse Ronan. I also sell it. I just, like I said with Quicksilver, I think she's just too young for the role.
Me too.
And I don't know. But, like you said, if they do cast her, I'm not going to complain about it. But I particularly think they should go with someone else.
The Amazing Spider-Man 2 hits AMC theaters on May 2nd, 2014, and recently a lot of set photos have been making their way onto the web, but still no footage. Now, actor Jamie Foxx, who is playing Electro in the upcoming film, suggests when we're going to get our first look. In a recent interview, Foxx said the following: "Now I'm just waiting to get to Comic-Con and see how people respond to it," Foxx said. Mark Webb is a genius, and Amy Pascal and everybody at Sony have just been so gracious to allow me to have this opportunity. So it's cool. John, buy or sell The Amazing Spider-Man 2 showing the first footage at Comic-Con?
Buy it, absolutely. Maybe Jamie can come hang out at the AMC Movie Talk meet and greet. No, anyway, I think this is great. Look, the first Iron Man film, it really took off. I mean, this is legendary now because they showed the first footage, the first trailer of Iron Man at Comic-Con, and that created 9 months of people just buzzing like crazy for that movie. I think this is a great place to launch this footage. I think it's a good move. It might be a little too early because remember, they're still shooting this movie. So, I mean, they're not going to have something really polished to show us, but give us a look. Comic-Con's the place to do it. I buy it. Dennis, what about you?
I totally buy it. I think Comic-Con is a perfect place for this movie to debut footage. I think, when you get the hardcore fans to buy into it, they'll spread, positively or negatively what they think.
That's true.
You can't stop them. So you might as well try your best.
All right. Well, listen, folks, we come to that part of the show for Mailbag. And listen, I'm going to let you know about a little something. We're starting something new on AMC's YouTube channel. We're launching a new show today, actually, called AMC Mailbag. That's just going to be like a half hour of all just mailbag questions. Now, we're still going to do 3 or 4 mailbag questions here on AMC Movie Talk. But if you don't see your question on this show, check out AMC Mailbag. That'll be debuting today with our pilot episode, if you will. It's much more casual and laid back. It's just going to be me answering mailbag questions for like a half hour or more. So check it out and let us know what you think about it. But here's how Mailbag works. If you've got a topic or a question you would like us to address on the show, just email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Every single day we pull a few out of the mailbag, and of course we're going to use more on AMC Mailbag. But Clark's got a few of them pulled out right now. So Clark, what do we got?
Matt Wright writes, hey, talking from the UK, just wondering with all the rumors that went around about being a sequel to Cloverfield, has it died or is it too late to make one now? Do you think we will ever see a Cloverfield sequel? Love the show.
Thanks for the question, Matt. I don't think we're ever going to see it. As a matter of fact, J.J. Abrams was just asked about it, and I pulled this quote up. I'm going to read this quote to you from J.J. Abrams. He says, part of me just wants to let it go. Though we've had a couple of discussions about cool ways to do it, I'm looking forward to seeing Pacific Rim this summer. It feels like there are some really big monsters coming down the pike. Of course, there's another Godzilla movie coming. That could inspire something we do. So basically, that's JJ's way of saying no, we're not going to be doing another one. And I don't think, especially after Pacific Rim, I think if they came out with one like a Cloverfield 2 after Pacific Rim, I think a lot of people would look at it unfairly as a Pacific Rim ripoff, probably in many ways. Dennis, I mean, what do you think they should do a Cloverfield 2? I don't even think they should do one, but do you think they should do one?
I like Cloverfield, but I don't think it warrants a sequel. I think the first one is good for what it is, and the whole, the secrecy of behind what the monster was. I think it was revealed, and then, the movie ended, and I think that should be it.
And I am so sick and tired of found footage movies.
Man, I'm such a fan of the first one. I'll wait for 20 years. I'll wait till JJ needs to make Cloverfield 2 for Cloverfield 2. But that's just me. Okay, Garrett P. writes, hey, AMC Movie Talk. Looking at the slate of movies expected to hit in 2015, it looks like it has high potential to be the largest box office year in history by a wide margin. The releases I'm referring to include The Avengers 2, Star Wars Episode 7, Avatar 2, Finding Dory, The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2, Pirates of the Caribbean 5. Each of these films has a reasonable chance to earn $1 billion worldwide. I know it's early, but in the interest of having fun, how do you predict each of these movies will stack up against each other at the 2015 box office?
Yeah, we've been looking at 2015 now like a perfect storm, because you didn't even mention movies like Fantastic Four's reboot, Assassin's Creed, Ant-Man, Kung Fu Panda 3. All these things are going to do big, maybe not $1 billion, but these films too are going to make big money at the box office. Okay, look, I've said before, just for fun, I do believe Avengers 2 will be the box office winner that year. It just has too much momentum going. It's got an active Marvel Cinematic Universe going on. And then we've just been assuming that the next will be Star Wars Episode 7. It's been on a long hiatus, but it's going to make huge bank. And I think Star Wars Episode 8 will then conquer the box. I think Star Wars Episode 8 will beat Avengers 3 because momentum. But then we all forget about that little film, Avatar. Avatar 2. It's like, good grief, where's that going to play into this? Does it get into the top 3? Does it trump them all? I don't think it beats Avengers 2 or Star Wars Episode 7. The reason being is, even though it's like the biggest box office movie of all time, 1 year after Avatar was out, you never heard people talking about Avatar anymore. Like, people still talk about Dark Knight. People still talk about that first Iron Man movie. People still talk about a lot of these other big, huge blockbusters. But Avatar came, completely dominated the box office, but then it kind of disappeared from the pop culture consciousness, you know? You don't hear people still talking about it. So I believe it will be massive and huge, but I don't think it'll catch either Avengers or Star Wars Episode 7. But after that, it's anybody's guess. Pirates of the Caribbean 5, Hunger Games, Finding Dory, Fantastic Four. I mean, it's going to be a big year at the movies. It is my year to ask AMC for a huge raise. That's just coming down. Des, do you see that any differently than I? Or do you see it as Avengers, Star Wars, Avatar? Do you see it in a different order?
I don't really see it in a different order, but I think with Avatar, you kind of have what just happened with the Star Trek thing, the syndrome, where they're waiting so long for the next one to come out. So I think that's going to hurt Avatar. It's going to be like probably even longer, right? How long has it been?
When did the first Avatar come out?
Like,
I can't. It lost to Hurt Locker. I remember that.
2010.
Was it 2010? So maybe it's not long. Well, you're right. It's going to be long. It's going to be 5 years in between films. Yeah, it's a long wait.
Ken Johnson writes, "Hey guys, first and foremost, I would like to say I love the show and your interesting takes on movies in general. I would like to take the Avengers formula by putting together protagonists from different movies we've seen already and put them in a film. For instance, Hannah Liam Neeson character from Taken, the transporter Jason Bourne. What do you guys think, and what characters would you put in a film together? Thanks."
I think it's a great idea. I would eat this up. It's funny. There's actually a little poker game right now on the Xbox. I believe it's on the Xbox that you can get, and I can't remember the name of the poker game, but what it is around this table are all these big video game characters. So you have Ash, you have like Sam from Sam and Max Hit the Road, you have the robot from Portal as the dealer, the robot that talks like this. She's the dealer. It's hilarious seeing all these characters from all these different titles together in something like a simple video game. I gotta tell you, I don't know how well it would do. I don't know if it would completely suck. But as a film fan, yeah, you have a movie where you take the crew from Snatch in a big heist movie with the crew from Ocean's 11. Boom, I'm there. I think it sounds like it could be fun. Could be totally stupid, but yeah, sign me up. I think it could be fun. What do you think, Dennis?
I think it would be a big giant mess story-wise. I think it would be a cool idea that would end up just being like, what is going on here?
Yeah, you're probably right.
It could, but Freddy vs. Jason, that's what I thought of when I read this question.
Yeah, Freddy vs.
And
Jason.
I love Freddy vs. Jason. It's such a blast. It's so fun. And
but
like,
it bombs.
Oh, I know. So maybe it's only in our dreams.
I want to see it, though. I want to see it.
Daniel Hooper writes, "Hi guys, I love this show and can't wait for the next edition. Anyway, my question is this. Do you think there will be a Zombieland sequel, or if they're making one? I love Zombieland and would love to see a second. What are your thoughts, John? Thanks, guys."
Yeah, I love Zombieland as well, but they tried to get a Zombieland 2 made, and it just never got steam. And as a matter of fact, I believe I heard the filmmaker say it's unlikely that we're ever going to see a Zombieland 2. Now, playing into that, they were also trying to develop a Zombieland series that was going to be on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. But actually, Clark, you've got a little bit of inside information on that. What's the situation there?
I sure do. Okay, so Kirk Ward, who is a lovely actor, is a friend of mine, and he actually played Tallahassee in the Amazon pilot that was just up online. And basically the way Amazon did it was they had about 7 or 8 pilots go on the web, and the fans watched, and it was like a combination of like stars and voting and approval rating and views. And unfortunately, Zombieland, although it had, I think at the final day, it had about a 3.7 star rating out of 5, it did not get picked up. And Kirk put that up on his Facebook page. But what's interesting about that too is that Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, who are the creators of Zombieland, they originally pitched the movie as a show.
Right.
And they told Bloody Discussing recently that Kirk was actually their lead choice for the Tallahassee character, and then they turned it into a feature, and Hollywood wanted a star, and Woody Harrelson was completely different from Kirk. Kirk is like Superman, like he looks like Superman when you see him, so he's totally different from Woody. But so Kirk actually got to come back and play Tallahassee in the pilot, which unfortunately is not going to series.
Yeah, and I think that one or two ways you can then look at it and say, well, okay, so since now they're not doing the TV show, now they can maybe try their efforts again to get a movie going. But going to potential financiers who may pay for this movie to get made and say, we just tried a TV series and we didn't get the votes and it didn't even get picked up is not momentum. So I think this hurts a Zombieland 2 even more. It doesn't sound like they're planning on doing it. I would be there with you. I'd love to see a Zombieland sequel, but it doesn't sound like it's going to happen. All right, folks, listen, we've run out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, while I've got you, before you do anything else, stop what you're doing and click that subscribe button. Become a subscriber to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It'll keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news and, of course, our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AMC Theaters. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/AMC Theaters. Going out and see movie night. We got Hangover 3. We got Fast and the Furious 6. Iron Man is still out there. Star Trek's out there. Epic is out there. So many great films to see right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for all your theater, showtime, and movie ticket information. Also, don't forget, keep your eyes open today. We're going to be putting online our first episode of AMC Mailbag. Make sure you tune into that. And once again, click that subscribe button. I want to thank, as always, our very lovely host, Miss Clark Wolf.
Thank you for having me, John.
The one and the only, the man behind the curtain, Mr. Dennis Zen.
Hope everyone has a good weekend.
Yes, have a great weekend, everybody. And listen, don't forget to join us next time. Until then, my name's John Campia for AMC Movie News. And until then, bye-bye.